There is always a lapse of time between any object and our mind perceiving that information and transforming that information into the reality that we experience. So, because there is a lapse of time between the bouncing of light in external objects and reaching our retinas, and then our mind making the interpretation of what there may be outside. This lapse of time, however small, means that its different mind of its different frame of reference in the block universe dwells in its own now slice. Because if you remember, I said that its now slice is a universe in itself, frozen in time, because it's the thinnest possible slice. That means that because it takes light some amount of time to reach different frames of reference, that means that each frame of reference must necessarily inhabit its own now slice. The distance is large between the objects and the mind, then that means that the now slice can be even thicker than a simple now slice, and it can be a now slice that it could last even 1 millisecond or 2 milliseconds or even 1 year. It is always relative to what we are observing in the apparent external world. The idea is that because there is an amount of time to perceive objects from an apparent external world, that means every frame of reference dwells in a parallel universe, or you can call it its own slice out of the block universe, which in itself is like a parallel universe, but let's call it a now slice, or a single slice that can be bigger than a simple now slice. It can have a little bit of motion because it's thick enough to have some motion in it. So every frame of reference is its own slice in a block universe. That's the key point. Every single frame of reference dwells, inhabits its own slice of infinity. This is an amazing realization that science brings us. Science is telling us, we have proven this, we know this for sure. In fact, we've known this for nearly more than 100 years already. Basically, science is telling us every single frame of reference inhabits its own slice of infinity. This is why, for instance, if one frame of reference traveling at near the speed of light, in a few seconds, it can find itself observing a universe that is actually quite into the future, relative to the one they would have been experienced before had they not traveled at such a high speed. So this is only an example that proves that every frame of reference inhabits its own infinity slice. This is amazing. This is just one of the most profound realizations that anybody could ever have. If you can understand this, and if you can implement this in your daily life, that would be an amazing achievement. If you can keep reminding yourself and not fall into oblivion, remember that you are a unique frame of reference, and that means that you inhabit your own slice of the universe. There is a slice of infinity that belongs only to you, and nobody else can inhabit it, because light takes an amount of time to reach each individual frame of reference. You and only you inhabit a chunk of infinity on your own, and there is nobody else on that chunk of infinity. It's not infinity in time, because it's a very small amount of time that belongs only to you, but it's infinity in size, because that infinity is infinite in size, not infinite in time, though. The infinity that belongs only to you and to me as frame of reference individually is an infinity in space, not an infinity in time. It's actually a very small chunk of time, but it's infinite in space. Solipsism must not be understood as only I exist and you are all figments of my imagination. That's not the truth. Solipsism must be understood as only I exist as a frame of reference within my chunk of infinity, within my slice of the block universe. But you also exist in your own chunk, a slice of your own universe. Therefore, every frame of reference share the same block universe, but every frame of reference dwells in its own unique slice of that single universe. And the single universe or block universe can be called the multiverse, because every single slice can be called a universe in itself, although very short in time, infinite in size. That means we can actually call every slice a parallel universe, living within a single multiverse. So this is how I understand solipsism. Solipsism is the truth, scientifically proven when you understand science. There is no way around it. Solipsism is the truth. However, not your common flawed understanding of solipsism, but rather is a solipsism that shares one unique block universe, which we could call oneness, because it's one. Other way to call a frame of reference is to call it mind. And it's mind because everything else around you, including your body, is a different frame of reference. So that which is you, unique to you, is only the mind. Mind is the only thing that exists, and there is no external reality